Hello and welcome to day 6 of our 30-day yoga therapy challenge. So today I'm going to begin by offering 2 alternatives to the same movement, and then you can decide which one you would like to do. So I'm going to start by sitting on a chair, or you could be sitting on a floor. It doesn't matter. So you're going to take the option that works the best for you today. And wherever you're sitting, see that your sitting bones are evenly grounded. So we have a nice neutral pelvis, spine neutral. And if you're sitting on a chair, let your feet be about hip distance apart and feet flat so you can sense your heels, the base of your big toes and the base of your baby toes. And the hands can rest wherever they feel comfortable. And maybe closing your eyes or softening your gaze. And let's just breathe quietly and softly. Letting the breath come in and out through the nose. And do a little scan through your body. Notice where there's tension or holding. Are you holding your shoulders up near your ears? What happens when you consciously bring your attention there? Is there a subtle or not so subtle sense of relaxation? Notice your jaw, your abdomen. Are you holding your belly in? Can you let it soften? Notice your hands, your tongue, your legs, your feet. And then let your attention drift to wherever it's drawn to in your body. Without trying to change anything, just notice. And as you allow your attention to move place to place as it will naturally on its own, see if you can let your breath get really, really quiet so you can't even hear it. Getting really quiet. And as your breath gets really quiet, notice what else is happening throughout your body. And then slowly blink our eyes open. If you're sitting on a chair, we'll go into our first movement on a chair. If you're on the floor, you can come onto hands and knees. We're going to start with cat-cow, and I'm going to offer some different variations. So if you're sitting on a chair, and you can do this sitting cross-legged if you want to do it sitting, hands are on the knees, elbows straight. And the movement is arching the spine and rounding the spine. So we're initiating the movement through the pelvis, so you feel your sitting bones lift as the spine arches, maybe even gently lifting the chin if it feels okay. And then rounding the spine, so then you're kind of tucking your tailbone under, lifting the pubic bone, rounding the spine, dropping the head down. Moving in a range where the arms stay straight, so without bending the elbow. That helps us to get the most out of our movement through our spine without compensating through the arms. And then if you're on your hands and knees, keeping the arms straight and the legs still, moving through your cat-cow. And then whether you're sitting or standing, maybe start to notice what part of the spine is initiating the movement. Are you moving from the middle, from the bottom, from the top? And then something interesting that you might like to explore, you can come back to neutral. Start with the pelvis. Let me go sideways here. Tilt your pelvis forward, and then start with the low back, then mid-back, the upper back, and then the head. And then to reverse, starting at the pelvis, tailbone down, rounding the low back, the mid-back, the upper back, and the head. And just go slow. It might take a few rounds of breath to do one direction. And then you might start to notice where there's some stuckness or stiffness. Maybe the spine doesn't want to move segment by segment. Maybe it wants to go chunk by chunk. That just gives us some information about where there might be some tightness or some limitation. Again, you can explore the speed at which you want to go. Maybe linking movement and breath, maybe going slowly and taking several breaths per movement. Another exploration, so another offering, again, you don't have to do it, or you can explore it on your own time, is to come into the arched position. So pelvis tilts forward, belly drops, chest lifts. And then to reverse, start with the head. Head drops down. And then lifting through the upper back, the mid back, the low back, and then the pelvis last. And then starting with the pelvis. Low back, mid back, upper back, neck and head. And then head, upper back, low back, and tail. So, several options. Keep going. If you're on a chair, you can explore the same way. And if you've been doing it on your hands and knees, it might be interesting to come into a chair and experience what it feels like to have your body in a different orientation, because gravity has different pulls on our body. And being in a different orientation, our brain and our body have to link up in terms of like where we are in space and all that stuff. So have fun exploring that one. Okay. If you're still going, take a break. And we are going to come down to lying on our back. But let's come into a constructive rest where the knees are bent and the feet are hip distance apart. So just take a moment to settle. Feel the soles of the feet against the ground. Feel the back of your hips, the back of your torso, and the back of the arms and the back of the head. And then turn your attention back to your breath, following the flow of the air as it comes in through the nostrils, moving down towards the chest, the ribs and the belly, and then flowing back up and out the nose. Just observing your breath, descending on the inhales, ascending on the exhales. Now, beginning with your right arm by your side, you're going to let the arm float up into the air and let it come back only as far as the ribs don't poke up. And then bring it back down. So try this a couple times so you can find the appropriate distance where you can hold your arm without discomfort. And then let it come back down. And let it rest. And we're going to slide the right leg all the way down. And let it rest. If it feels uncomfortable to have the leg all the way straight, you could bring a bolster or a pillow under your knee. If that feels better to have the support. Don't hold the leg up if you can't have it all the way straight. Let it rest on something, as we don't want our hip flexors to have to hold the leg up. So legs either all the way down or over a bolster or a pillow. And then that right arm is going to come back up as far as it will go. And then we're going to hold here. If it feels uncomfortable to hold your arm, you could get another bolster or a pillow And let your arm rest on something, ideally elbow straight. And we're just going to hang out here and breathe. Let's begin by just observing the breath moving into the lungs. Noticing, sensing how the lungs expand and contract with each breath in and out. And maybe you start to notice how that corresponds to movement through your rib cage, expanding as you inhale and contracting as you exhale. And maybe you start to notice the rise and fall of the belly. Belly rising on inhale and dropping on exhale. Again, this is all happening on an unconscious level. We don't need to force it. And if you notice that there isn't movement in one of those places, just let that be a point of information, maybe a point of interest or curiosity, and maybe that's something we can discuss later. Keep noticing your breath in the belly. Maybe you can feel it further down into the low belly, or maybe even into the pelvic bowl or the pelvic floor, which might be sensed or felt as a downward pressure into the floor of the pelvis as you inhale, and a release or a lifting up as you exhale. And again, this doesn't have to be a conscious action. You might not sense anything, and you might, so just putting it out there. Let's hold for a few more breaths. Oh, I just kind of felt some tension letting go in my hip crease. That was nice. Again, that might not be your experience. That might be your experience. You might feel something else. You might not feel anything at all. That's the really cool thing about practices like this. We just notice and see what happens or what doesn't happen. And then let's bring the arm down. And then bend the knee. And just wait for a moment. And then when you're ready, left arm comes up into the air, finding your range, maybe noticing if you want to have some support behind you, just in case. Okay, so arm comes down, let's slide the left leg down first, supporting it if you need to. Right knee's bent, and then the left arm comes up and back. And then we settle here. Notice the breath coming in and out through the nostrils. Notice the coolness of the air as it comes in the nostrils. The warmth of the air as it comes out the nostrils. Maybe noticing sensations in your body. Following your breath down into the lungs or the chest. Has the breath changed or shifted in any way compared to the first side? Noticing breath in the ribs, in the belly, and maybe even the pelvis. Maybe as you breathe, you notice or sense breath moving up into your arm or down into your leg. Again, there's no right or wrong way to experience your body. It is what it is at this moment. Just notice it all, welcome it all, be curious about it all. Let's take a few more breaths here. And then when you're ready, we'll bring the arm down and we'll bend the left knee, bringing the foot back onto the floor. And we'll pause. Notice if your body shifts or moves in any way. Is it settling out? Is there a movement of energy through the spine or down the arms or the legs? Has the breath changed? Is there a release of tension or holding? Sometimes shifts can be so subtle that it's below our level of awareness, and that's okay too. All right, from here, let's roll over to one side and press yourself up, and we're going to come up to standing. So you might like, no, actually don't position yourself near a wall. I was going to say you might like to position yourself near a wall or have a chair handy. You can, if that feels safer. I'm going to do it in the middle of the room. So make sure you have a little bit of space behind you and you have room for your arm to come up. Feel the 3 points of your feet, center of the heel, base of the big toe, base of the baby toe. And we're going to shift the weight over into the right leg. So we're not losing the connection with the left foot in the ground. We're just letting more weight come down from the right hip down the leg into the foot. The right side is weighted. And we're going to bring the right arm back up into the air, not unlike what we were doing lying down. This time it's going to take a little bit more effort to hold the arm up. And now we're going to see if we can keep a neutral pelvis and extend the left leg back. So if you go too far, you're going to start to tilt forward. And if that happens, just come back and reset. And don't take your leg back quite as far. But the foot's off the ground. I'm just kind of flexing my ankle just a tiny bit so my toes don't touch down. And it might be a challenge to balance. So if you need to bring the foot down and then bring it back up again, that's okay. You might feel some wobble through your ankle, some strength through your leg. Maybe your right glute starts to burn a little bit. Maybe the right arm starts to feel a little bit tired. So if you need to take a break, if you need to release, please do. But if you can keep holding on a little bit longer, that would be great. Notice your breath. Notice the effort in the abdomen. So we're not gripping, but there's definitely some natural engagement that's helping us stay stable. Stabilizing through the back, that happens naturally when we keep the neutral pelvis and the neutral spine. And let's explore this. So we're going to do a little pulse with our arm and our leg. So the arm's moving back just a tiny bit and the legs moving back just a little bit and then back to center. But we're not really changing the position of the pelvis or the spine. Just a little pulse. A couple more. Keep breathing. And then release. All right. I definitely feel a little bit of burn in my right leg. And then in standing, stand and notice what you feel. And then when you're ready, shifting the weight into the left leg so that you can feel a transfer of weight from the hip, down the leg, into the foot. The right foot still on the floor. We haven't lifted off completely. And then when you're ready, the left arm will come up without having to arch the back or poke the ribs. So So neutral spine, taking the right leg back. So I want you to think of that leg from the outside of your hip, it's just moving back in space. Pelvis doesn't tip. Okay. And breathe. Notice how your back and abdomen are keeping you stable. Maybe there's some wobble in the standing foot or ankle. Notice where the body is working, but also notice where there's a sense of ease. Maybe there's some effortlessness in the fingertips or your face, hopefully also in your breath. Remember that you can always release at any time. And if if it feels really easy for you, you can hold it longer. You can always go longer, but you don't need to overdo it either. So let's explore the pulsing. Taking the leg back and the arm back a little bit and then back to start. A little further back. Oops, I went too far. Breathing easy. This is great for core stability, balance, strength. And when we have all those things, we experience more ease. All right, and let's release. Coming back to standing on the 3 points of the feet, mountain pose. And just notice what you're experiencing at this moment. Maybe the feet feel connected differently to the ground. Maybe you feel more awareness in the legs. Maybe you feel more support through the legs. You kind of feel free, a little bit of freedom in the pelvis, like it's kind of found its home instead of being tilted forward, which, yeah, my pelvis is super neutral right now. I'm usually a forward tilt, so that feels really nice. I feel a little bit more open through my chest. My shoulders are relaxing down. And that wasn't my intention going into that practice. It was just a really kind of delightful side effect of it. So my body's showing me what's possible for it. So if you feel something profound, something really different, or something really interesting, just know that it's your body's way of showing that like shift is possible. And with practice, we can make these new patterns more on a permanent basis. And if you're interested in learning more about that, I'm always happy to chat. So I think we're over 20 minutes now, so I'm going to let you get on with the rest of your day. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for day 7. It's going to be our restorative yoga day. So we'll get to rest and really, really deeply relax for 15 to 20 minutes. So have a great rest of your day, and I really look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye for now.